The Kent School District Board meetings are held in public on the second and fourth Wednesdays of the month at 7 p.m. at the Administration Center in accordance to the Washington State Open Public Meetings Act. Regular meetings include presentations and reports dealing with district operations, as well as time set aside for public comment. Now, here are your Kent School District Board of Directors. Welcome to tonight's board meeting.
Same page. Front doesn't matter.
Good evening, smaller audience. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Mitchell Wing from Northwood is going to lead us in the flag salute. So would you please stand? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Be seated. Thank you, Mitchell. Debbie Strauss, Vice President Debbie Strauss, is excused from this meeting. She's taking her daughter to college, so she's down in Utah. I'd like to welcome everybody here tonight. This is a meeting of the board, which is held in public to comply with the Open Public Meetings Act. We allow opportunity for public comments later in the agenda. If you would like to address the board, fill out a blue card in the back there by the strategic goals. I don't see any up here at this point in time. And then bring them up to the dais. If you wish to speak to an agenda item, please indicate on the card your name, and your name will be called at that portion of the agenda. You will have 3 minutes. So, agenda review. Dr. Watts, are there any changes to the agenda?
Yes, President DeBruler, yes, we have one change to the agenda. Resolution number 1473 was added to the agenda today.
All right. So we need to have a motion to amend the agenda with the approval of adding resolution number 1473.
I so move.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Are there any discussions or questions? All right, we'll talk a little bit about that. All right. Hearing no discussion or questions, all those in favor of adding that item to the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? All right. Thank you. That's added. 2.0 proclamation. This is September is Attendance Awareness Month. And seeing as we have just started school, this is really an important thing. I'll read the proclamation. Whereas good attendance is essential to student achievement and high school graduation, and we are committed to reducing chronic absenteeism rates with a focus starting as early as pre-kindergarten. Whereas chronic absence missing 10% or more of school for any reason, including excused and unexcused absences, or just 2 or 3 days a month, is a proven predictor of academic struggle and dropout rate. Whereas improving attendance and reducing chronic absence takes commitment, collaboration, and tailored approaches to particular challenges and strengths in each community. Whereas research shows that chronic absence as early as pre-kindergarten and kindergarten is associated with lower third-grade reading scores, and by 6th grade, it becomes a leading indicator of course failure and dropout of high school. Whereas chronic absence can be significantly reduced when schools, parents, and communities work together to monitor and promote good attendance and address hurdles that keep children from getting to school. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Directors of the Kent School District proclaims that our schools will stand with the nation in recognizing September as Attendance Awareness Month. We hereby commit to high student achievement and reducing chronic absenteeism to give all children an equitable opportunity to learn, grow, and thrive academically, emotionally, and socially. And it's signed by us.
Perfect.
Just comment, as a teacher, I remember kids getting perfect attendance certificates or whatever, and I always thought that was kind of a fluffy thing until I started thinking about all of this stuff that's involved here, and it really does make a huge difference. So anything that we can do to make sure that our kids get there is going to be really important. Let's see. presentation. We have Randy Nunez here for Kinder to College. There you are, Randy. Would you come up and give us some information on our Kinder to College?
Board Chair DeBruler, members of the board, Superintendent Watts, it's my pleasure to present our Kinder to College program. I've had the opportunity to be a part of the program since its inception a number of years ago, and now serving as a lead to our Kinder to College program. Our Kinder to College program aligns with two of our district's strategic goals, the first being high student achievement, preparing our students for our college to career success, effective partnerships, which we've built with our college partners. The purpose of our Kinder to College program is to create a equal opportunity school district for early college awareness for our youngest students in preparing them for a 21st century economy, to promote a college-going culture within our schools and for our families, and to develop and foster our college partners. The history of our Kinder to College program was introduced in 2010 by former Superintendent Dr. Vargas to visualize all students, regardless of their potential characteristics and life circumstances, into high expectations in learning and in life, starting at kindergarten. And our first Kinder to College visit was in 2010. We had 3 elementary schools participate at 2 college partners with close to 300 students. This last spring in 2015, we had 20 of our elementary schools participate with 11 college partners, over 1,400 students, and 460 parents. And we have a video that we share with our parents and our college partners on what the day looks like that I'd like to share with you all as well.
Welcome to our Kinder to College program, where in the Kent School District we're successfully preparing all students for their future. And that means visualizing them into high expectations early on, starting at kindergarten. We want every one of our students to know that they too can go on and after high school and take community college courses, university courses, post-secondary training, so that they're prepared for a 21st century economy, a knowledge economy. And this is part of the Kent School District's plan and our strategic efforts to really successfully prepare all students for their future. And I really want to underscore all. And we bring our parents along too, because this is part of parent engagement. We want our parents to be part of our partnership in terms of preparing our kids and also making sure that they follow through as they proceed through the grades and do well in school and keep those dreams alive in their heads and that drive in their hearts that they too can go on and be successful in post-secondary training. As we look to the future and think about STEM, science, technology, engineering, math, this is all part of preparing them for that future. And being here at the University of Washington Day gives them a first-hand experience to really put that belief in their head that they too can experience a rigorous education and do well in school. So on behalf of all of our students in the Kent School District and our school board, I want to thank everybody who supported this program and made it a huge success in the Kent School District.
Our STEM activity is an opportunity for us to engage students while they're visiting the campus, and we have 3 objectives for our Kinder to College program STEM activity, and one of them being supporting the national initiative in having students engaged in the STEM-related fields, whether it's for an academic career or a professional career, where there's likely to be the highest job growth in the future. Our second objective is to make that connection for students, and what they learn within the classroom also takes place on a college campus within those areas, whether it's science, technology, engineering, mathematics. And our last objective is to allow our parents to observe their own student and working on activities that can also take place within a home. And again, an opportunity to continue that message of going to college, but making the academic connections.
This activity is a really important part of the Kinder to College experience because it helps students start thinking about structures, helps students start thinking about college, and it helps start those conversations at home that maybe they would not otherwise have.
I thought it went really good with the little science experiment and teaching the kids what they'll expect in the future and planting the seed now so they can carry it all the way with them through, junior high and high school. They could have ignited something in kids that they never thought about before they're in kindergarten. Outside of the bubbles that they did today, they didn't think about stuff like that. So it was a really great thing.
They will absolutely remember this trip. You can tell by their involvement and their engagement with the college students that they will can look back at this time, and their parents can look back at this time and see that college is a real goal for them. It is something that can happen, and they are excited to be here.
We talk with our students a lot about the possibilities and the choices that lie ahead for them. When they've gone to kinders to college, they've had the opportunity in their classroom to start talking about what do they want to be when they grow up. What are the opportunities that lie ahead for them? When they go to the college campus, they see in reality people that look just like them and people that in professions that might be of interest to them.
It's important to go to college because college teaches you a lot of things, and if you don't go to college, you probably won't be that successful in life. I really want to be a teacher, and if you go to college, you can get more smarter, and that's how you learn how to be a teacher.
They said about college, just they said never give up. When something's hard, don't give up. Try until you get it all the way.
After I graduate high school, I plan to be somebody who helps animals that are sick or have some injuries.
I'm getting a bachelor degree in science.
Thank you, Kinder to College program and the Kent School District for preparing our kids for the future.
O que es bien para el futuro de ellos, para el día de mañana ellos tengan que echarle más ganas para que recuerden que vinieron acá y tengan que poner más empeño en la escuela para aprender y para que regresen al colegio.
I promise to do well in school, to listen to my teacher, to help my teacher, to listen to my parents, to help my teachers, to help my fellow students, to graduate from high school, and go on to college. All right, give yourselves a round.
There's usually a collective awe after this presentation. I've always seen the Kinder to College program as this, especially getting onto a college campus as this Trojan pony. How could you say no to these little ones? As far as our participation in the last few years, it really depends on the number of college partners that we're able to build, but we've had between 16 and 1,400 students participate every year, between 450, 650 number of parents. We do survey our parents to see what their experiences were like this last spring, and it's really it's a trend that we've seen the last few years, is that we've asked our parents who participated if it's their first time on a college campus, which would really speak to the question of first generation. And approximately 40% of our parents are saying that it's their first time. So for us, it's just a reminder of how important it is. How do we get that message in the home? Oftentimes, and if the student's experience is anything like mine, my parent, my mom, her only time on a college campus was to drop me off and pick me up for graduation, but never have had an opportunity to be on a campus. So I think for us, that's really important, really key for us. We do ask our parents as well to rate the overall experience, 1 to 5, 5 being excellent. They've been rated well above average, between good and excellent. As far as the feedback that we get from the experience, they're saying that their students are having a great time to be on campus, to be able to meet staff, that they've been excited around the STEM activity. And they also would recommend that students visit college campuses in later grades as well. As far as additional supports, parents are interested in learning more about the costs of college and how to support their student how to support their college potential student while in school. As far as goals for this coming year is to increase our number of schools and, of course, our parents. to continue to develop and sustain our partnerships. And this year, we're hoping to pilot a college night at the elementary school. You know, this is something that we haven't done quite yet. The trip, really for the most part of the day, is centered around the student. You know, the parent has an opportunity to share that experience. And, you know, I show the number of parents who participated, and I'm always reminded by the possibility and probably the fact that a number of those parents are taking that entire day off to spend with their students. And I think that's an important message. But what we do want to do is make time for parents to be able to sit down and ask those questions around college. And it gives us an opportunity to invite back our college partners. And I have a special interest in focusing around college financial literacy. You know, what are college financial plans for parents and families? Knowing that there may be families that can afford a savings program and start early, and there may be parents who will need to look into more need-based opportunities. But the message really is that there's a financial plan for every family. As far as the outline of the day, and for us, it's been a similar format. You know, we're looking at the class of 2028 for this year's kinders, and our first class, I believe, are incoming sixth graders. But so far, we have 19 schools that have confirmed, elementary schools that have confirmed. We've confirmed 12 college partners, and this is work that I'll spend most of the fall in. Our visits take place between March and May. And the structure of the day includes a welcome, a breakout session of a campus tour, a STEM-related activity, closing with a pledge that you've seen on the video, a big group photo, and we do have a post-kinder to college video that we also share once parents return back to the school on next steps, on what they can do next in terms of researching the costs of school, activities to be involved with their student around college, and how to support positive study habits. In terms of our expansion and development, you know, we're going to continue to target all 28 elementary schools, increase our college partnerships, and look for opportunities around funding support, especially, you know, the program looking at more of a STEM emphasis. You know, we believe that there's partners that we can continue to bring on board. This is a list of our college partners. You'll notice that they're made up of public and private universities, community colleges, and technical colleges, approximately within a 25-mile radius of our district. You know, we try to keep our field trips, at least the transportation side, fairly short. Those bus rides can be a little long, but we've outreached to just about every school in this area. And, you know, one thing to say in closing, you know, this wouldn't be possible without our college partners. And it's always great feedback at the end of the day for our college partners to say that our students, our kindergarten students, were the most behaved visitors that they've had all year. And I think that's always positive. But the fact that they keep inviting us back, you know, they tend to work with populations that are ready to transition into college. And, you know, they're willing to invest in students that they may not see for another 12 years, I think has been a pretty positive message. So if I have any time, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Have any questions or comments?
Yeah, thank you, Randy, for all that you do. I think it's really terrific to see that you're also working to look at possibilities after elementary. And so I was wondering, your coordination with middle schools and high schools, how is that going, and what are you doing exactly? I know that Charlie Hoff has helped a little bit. I don't know if there are plans to expand that kind of education into the classroom.
Right, you know, and that is a conversation that we're hearing from our middle school counselors. They're asking about their students. And last year we had piloted a middle school visit to the University of Washington, Seattle. And again, I was speaking about that the Trojan pony, but again, it was out of the relationships that we built, the partnerships that we've had, where we've taken the entire 8th grade class from Cedar Heights onto campus. So we are looking at those additional opportunities to get the students back onto campus and have more in-depth curriculum, because I think that's also equally important to us, that it's not just another field trip, but that they're engaged in academic subjects, especially in areas where they're looking at those kinds of career opportunities in the future. So we are looking at that to expand in the middle school in terms of the visits. At the high school level, we spend a lot of time with our college-bound scholarship population around conferences, presentations, engagement throughout the year, after-school application support, FAFSA support. So there is a number of activities that do take place. And to kind of backtrack a little bit, including getting back to our elementary schools. I have the opportunity to go and visit every elementary school and give a presentation to all the 6th graders during the spring to talk about transitioning into middle school and early college awareness. So every middle school student also is hearing that same message.
That's one more thing. Is it getting tracked in Naviance, or can it be the interest so that we're sort of following the path? I know we have a lot of mobility in our schools, but...
Yes, the answer is yes. And that's one thing that that's one thing that we would definitely want to integrate into a lot of our college planning activities is Naviance. In fact, center a lot of our sessions through Naviance. And an example of that is our College-Bound Scholarship Conference that's going to take place next month. All of our workshops will have a Naviance piece so that it becomes a tool that students recognize that it's something that they utilize back at home. So yes.
Okay, thank you.
I just want to comment, Randy, that I'm really excited to hear about the college financial literacy piece and the pilot, and I look forward to hearing back how that goes. I think that's a great addition.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I was going to say something similar. The perfect time talking to elementary school parents about College Bound and really letting them know that it's there, because I know that there are times when we have trouble getting the forms back, signed and back from them. And if they knew about it a couple of years ahead of time, it would really help.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I don't know if you've heard the news a few months ago, but our district achieved 100% of our college-bound scholarships were signed up as 8th graders. First time for our district, and really among the few in the state of Washington. So we had achieved 100%. Big thanks to our counselors.
That's great. Oh, it's terrific. All right, any other comments or questions? Thank you so much, Randy, for everything you do. We'll see you at College Bound. Okay, so on to 4.01, Washington State School Directors Association Legislative Proposal Guide. Director Burchard, do you want to discuss that a little bit and ask for input?
Sure, and recognize Maya, who's already given me input, so thank you, Maya. In a couple weeks, I'll be attending the Washington School Directors Legislative Assembly on our behalf. And I'm always a strong advocate for our proposals that we put forward. And if you'll recall, we put forward the one around supporting English language learners along with Tukwila and Yakima school districts. And then we also had one around, we supported Yakima on the one that they put forward around, I always have to look at it because it's complicated, so that OSPI, like the federal government does for qualifying students for programs and services, would allow districts to use the federal funding multipliers when you're figuring out poverty rates. So that was one that we submitted. And then we also submitted the one around computer science. And we submitted these before the legislature completed their session. And so our one around computer science, actually the WASDA Legislative Committee asked us to consider withdrawing it, which I agreed to, because the legislature did put forward that. And so that'll be something that we'll monitor, and we may need to submit in the future for guaranteed sort of future funding to support computer science stuff. If you haven't yet, you can give your input now or prior to me going in a week and a half, if you could send me your input. And I know it's a long list. Usually what we do is when we're there is we vote yes or no on each thing, and I'll just, do my best thinking on that. But at the end, they usually give us an opportunity to prioritize what our top ones are. And so that's why it's helpful to hear from you. What are some of your priorities about the multitude of proposals that are there? So, any questions or comments?
I've not taken enough time to read through, so I'm definitely going to submit a little bit later. But at the beginning, it talked about amendments to the standing proposals. Do you have to prioritize those also? Or
No,
just-
usually it's
just a yes or no?
prioritizing the later things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then
And you're more than welcome to give me input on all of those, including the changes to the standing things. But if you want to prioritize and focus your time, then the ones that are the new proposals would be great to get feedback on
good.
those.
Will do. Any other comments? Okay, hearing none. We're going to move on to 4.02, the second reading and adoption of revised policy 6002 on the fund balance. And we need a motion to approve the second reading and adoption of revised policy 6002 fund balance.
I so move.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Do we have any discussion or questions on that? No? Okay.
It's all very clear.
All right. Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? All right, thank you. 4.03 is resolution number 1473, King County Proposition Number 1, Best Start for Kids endorsement. This, I had asked Mike Heinisch from Kent Youth and Family Services if he could speak tonight to this, and he couldn't, but he did send something, and this got put into the agenda kind of late. I mean, it was a placeholder, but the information wasn't there. I just want to, Mike sent me a letter sort of explaining it. I won't read the whole thing. But he basically, it says, Best Start for Kids represents a long-sought new opportunity to invest in our kids and provide our shared hope for all of them here in the Kent School District and across King County through a series of investments in prevention and early intervention, early and often, on a scale never before attempted by government at any level, anywhere in the country. Dow Constantine, the King County executive, said, Best Start for Kids utilizes his quote, world-class science and research, much of it developed right here at the University of Washington, as well as input from a wide range of our community partners, practitioners, and other experts to define a strategic set of investments in best and promising practices needed to ensure all of our children have the best start in life and succeed in their journey to adulthood. And there's more to it but this is a 6-year levy lid lift of 14 cents per $1,000 assessed property valuation that will generate $65.4 million per year, costing the average King County homeowner about $56 per year in the King County General Fund for Best Starts for Kids. So that's really brief and not very detailed, but that just gives you an idea of what it is. And the endorsement was on with all the whereases. You pop that one up there. And just, did you have a chance to read it in your email? Okay. All right, are there any questions or, whoops, hang on. We need a motion first, sorry. We need a motion to approve resolution number 1473, King County Proposition Number 1, Best Start for Kids endorsement. They're asking school districts to endorse this, to give it more meat.
So I move that we adopt this resolution to endorse the proposition.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All right, thank you. Now, are there discussion or questions from anything that you've read or heard?
I'm just reading it now.
I had some comments, and I'd actually gone to a presentation about this quite a while ago, along with City of Seattle, where they did a joint presentation about investments and early learning that would benefit our students coming into our districts. And so I first heard about it then, and I think that the approach is really wise. And I really like in the fact sheet that we also have that was inserted into the agenda, there's some really useful information about what the investments will go toward. And so I'll just mention a couple of those. 50% of the revenue that brought in is going to focus on health for pregnant moms and children up to 5 years of age. And when you think about the impact of health issues on our students and their ability to be successful in school, particularly in that young age when the children are developing both their minds and their bodies, is so critical. So I think that's really important, 50%. And then 35% is going to be focused on children age 5 through 24 and supporting them, so it'd be directly for our students. And then I like this piece that 9% of the investment is focusing on community level strategies. And I think about the importance of all of our partnerships and that we can't do it ourselves, of helping our kids to graduate, be successful in the future without our partners. And so I see this as a way of supporting our partners too. And then lastly, 6% goes toward evaluation and data collection about how to improve the delivery of services for programs for children and youth. So I think it's very well thought out, and I'd be proud to support it.
I also heard about it at the Springs Roadmap sharing, I guess you call it, the luncheon that we had. So, yeah, I remember I found a little card that I'd written some of the points on the back, and I thought, oh, this is 1473. So, any other questions or comments?
I'll just add that I'm really excited about the Communities Matter portion of it. The Communities of Opportunities grant is already here through King County. They're working on health matters in Kent through that Communities of Opportunity grant, and I know they're thinking about expanding it because the partnership is with the Seattle Foundation, and Seattle Foundation has been here in Kent since 2007. I was sitting on the advisory committee for many years, and so they've already invested and they're committed to Kent. So that's huge for us if this passes, the impact that it could have on our kids and also our homeless kids who do not have a lot of resources. And I don't think we as a community have provided the necessary resources for the kids, homeless kids in particular. So I'm really excited about that particular portion of it.
Thank you.
If Maya's excited, I'm excited.
Thank you, Russ. All right, hearing no further discussion or questions, all those in favor of approving resolution number 1473, the King County Proposition number 1, Best Start for Kids endorsement, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? All right, thank you. 4.04 is Race to the Top Project 2, the District Data Use Training Grant. We need a motion to approve acceptance of the request to submit the Project 2 Race to the Top proposal for $77,500 for homeroom trainings on data collection, analysis, and school improvement.
I so move.
Do we have a second?
Second?
All right, thank you. Any discussion or questions?
Yes, I did ask a question, and I wanted to ask Randy, is the homeroom tool, is that the tool for EWIS that you presented? It's the same? Okay. Because I have a lot of comments about that presentation, but I'll talk about it later.
Okay.
One feature of the tool.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? All right, so all those in favor of approving acceptance of the request to submit Project 2 Race to the Top proposal for $77,500 for homeroom trainings on data collection, analysis, and school improvement, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? All right, thank you. 4.05 is Inclusive Education Contract Change Order number 1 for Claudia Siprit. I think that's how you pronounce her name. We need a motion to approve change order number 1 in the amount of $10,200 for speech language pathologist Claudia Siprit's contract for 2015-16.
I so move.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, do we have discussion or questions in this? Okay. All those in favor of approving change order number 1 in the amount of $10,200 for speech language pathologist Claudia Sippert's contract for 2015-16, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Okay, good. 4.06, approval of settlement agreement and release. We need a motion to approve the settlement agreement and release that we talked about in executive session.
I so move.
Thank you. Do you have a second?
I'll second. Go ahead.
No, you can go ahead. I've been hogging them all night.
I'll second.
All right, do we have any discussion or questions?
No.
I don't know how to quite phrase this. Let me think for a second.
Okay.
Well, I just had a question about process more. So are we not discussing the matters here because it's of a legal matter? Is that?
Correct.
Okay.
And there's
Yes.
information that
Yes.
Needs to be confidential.
Okay, thank you.
So not going into great detail, but addressing the global issue, and I addressed it when we talked about our budget, that I didn't want us to feel constrained by our budget to really address some very challenging student issues that we've heard repetitively. And now that we have a new director, I hope the board's feelings are similar. If not, please express them. But again, Karen, you've reiterated the least restrictive means the whole classroom. That includes mainstreaming some of the challenging kids, and really, again, individual students, the legalities, and the plethora of federal requirements. I get all of that. But I also know that staff, and I'm just taking this opportunity to address the issue, that staff have really tried their best, and they've been gnawed on, they've been hit, they've been scratched, they've been physically abused, and I'm hopeful that as we reflect on the last couple of years, that our response from this building to those staff members will be timely, caring, and that they're heard, because I've gotten the sense I feel like it's improved dramatically, but now there's a new set of leaders, and I just don't want that gap to kind of go backwards, because I did feel like we've made some big progress into the response of staff members and listening and caring and addressing and feeling like something's being done. Because at the end of the day, you know, this settlement is a result of maybe some of those things not happening for or challenging, or differences of opinion, however you want to phrase it. But again, I hope that we can continue the work that we started to do, and always be as proactive as possible, and not be constrained by whatever constraints we put on ourselves. Okay.
Yes. All right, any further discussion? All right, all those in favor of approving the motion, or to approving the settlement agreement and the release, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? All right, good. Okay, on to the consent agenda. Does anybody want to pull anything from the consent agenda?
Oh, yes, I had a question about 5.04, the MOU.
Okay, 5.04. Do we have anything else? You okay? All right. All right. So need a motion to approve the consent agenda minus 5.04.
I move to approve the consent agenda minus 5.04.
Do we have a second on that?
No, you go ahead. Oh. I'll second it.
Thank you. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed? All right, and Agda, you wanted to talk about 5.04.
Oh, yes. I just had a question for my own understanding of our opportunities for our students to get college credit. And so there was a reference in the MOU to tech prep agreements, and I was unclear about and confused about the status of tech prep agreements. So I just wanted a little clarification.
As a strand, we did have that question come to us in an earlier meeting, and Luann, if you would be so kind as to follow up on explanation of tech prep.
So tech prep, you're exactly correct in your question, no longer exists as far as having any state or federal funding connected to it. However, that language of having dual credits and having students be able to take CTE for college credits is something that even the whole consortium in the Puget Sound area still uses that language to refer to what that credit attainment is. And so actually our whole consortium, we did ask for clarification of, should we remove that language? Should we call it something else? And they said, no, within our consortium, we still refer to it as tech prep, even though there's no funding at OSPI or at the state and federal level anymore.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
With that? All right. So we need a motion to approve 5.04.
I move to approve 5.04.
Do I have a second on that?
A second.
All right, all those in favor, say aye.
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 All those opposed? Okay, so we have the general fund for the informational part of our agenda here, 6.01, general fund object expenditure summary report. This is information only. Are there any questions on that? No? Okay. 6.02, July 2015 financial statement. Any questions on that?
No.
All right, 6.03, first reading of policy 4260, community use of school buildings, equipment, and grounds. Are there any questions?
Yes, I did have a question about that. I was noticing basically it was taking out the procedural stuff, which I thought was a good thing, and putting it into the procedure, which we don't approve. But then I also started thinking, well, should there be some kind of overarching policy statement that we as a board want to make about the use of our facilities for community use? And I wasn't sure if there should be more there or not. And I was curious, but didn't have time to research it far enough to see what WASDA recommended in their policies. So it was just a question I thought I would put out there while we're having an informational discussion about it.
Well, I know we can certainly and will continue to review our policies. Obviously, I think you brought up a wonderful point for us to compare WASDA to existing policy. Dr. Stedry, if you have any additional information to enhance that response, I'd appreciate that.
Yeah, I'll take a look at what WASDA's done in this area and kind of see where we are, where they are, and maybe I'll add some things to it. On the procedural side, I know where we are. We're much further along than they are. So, and ours are quite detailed.
Yeah.
And a lot there, but I will look and see what happens.
Thanks.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, I really appreciate the details on the procedural part. There are so many questions about facilities, and it was really clear to me where we stand now. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, 6.04, first reading of policy 2421, student promotion, retention, acceleration, and class standing. Any questions on that?
Just a comment. I really appreciate that we are clarifying the conditions whereby parents who request to have their student retained in grade 3 is highlighted, and that we will honor that, because I don't think we have in the past. That's added language, is
correct.
Yeah.
That,
okay. Oh,
yes,
is it by law?
Yes.
Okay. But I like it.
Yes.
Okay.
And
thank
so,
you.
yes,
Okay.
we have a new ESSB Senate Bill 5946 allowed for students that had just took the third grade SBA this last year in ELA, if they received a level 1 score. We actually sent individual letters to all those families and notified them that we would be following the Senate bill's policy guidance on this and allow them to request retention. At this time, we have had no parents request retention, however, of their third grader, even though we sent everyone a letter.
Do you have any number off the top of your head, the number of kids who received a 1?
Yes, and I'm presenting that on the 16th.
Oh, okay, thank you. I will wait. All right, thanks. Okay.
The 16th?
Yes.
Next Wednesday? So we have a meeting.
Work session.
Just work.
We need to talk about that. Okay, so we're on to the communication from the audience, and I don't see any blue cards up here at this point in time. So we will move on to the superintendent report.
Thank you, President Bruler, and board members and friends. I want to comment on some of the presentations very briefly. I want to again thank Randy Nunez for a presentation of Kinder to College, which really speaks volumes about our work. I recall, and the phrase "I'll believe it when I see it" as something that resonated with me when I was younger. As I grew older, I believe in vision setting, and so I understand that phrase now is "I'll see it when I believe it." And that means I'll see the vision for our future. And as we see our students, class of 2028, it was heartening for me to see the fruits of our labor and how our students now can benefit from having access to an experience that they otherwise would not have. So again, I thank our district and thank our staff who are supporting that. I want to just to reflect very briefly on the opening of the school year. And the last opportunity we had as a board meeting, we were talking about looking forward to a smooth and wonderful opening. Well, Team KSD is a term that I use to illustrate what can happen when a group of individuals come together to unite toward a common vision, a mission, and agreed upon goals. Through the efforts of many, Team KSD has made a very smooth 2015-16 school opening. And so I can comment on my own first day of school, and even in the Watts household, my first day of school began with a meet and greet at a school bus stop, to have conversations with middle school students, to actually get on the bus and have a wonderful ride with a very engaging bus driver, I will say, Dr. Stedry. We were shared the director of first impressions might be a new name for our bus drivers. As I got off the bus at Cedar Heights, I was reminded of what it was like to be a middle school student. And as having a middle school student in the Watts household, I could empathize. The remainder of my day was filled with visits to 5 more schools, classroom walkthroughs, visit with principals and teachers and students, engaging conversations with all on what a typical first day of school should look like in Kent School District. So a fantastic day, clearly. At the same time, it only was rivaled by the amazing show of spirit in KSD Pride at our pep rally the Thursday prior to. It was truly amazing what can happen when we turn vision into reality based on the efforts of many. So while I was extremely excited to finish the first week and move into the second week, I also want to take a personal point of privilege to thank our Communities and Schools partnership for our Fill the Bus campaign. And for those who are not aware, we had a record-breaking experience for the last couple of years. We've grown, and this year, filling the bus with more than 8,000 items, totaling and weighing more than 3,000 pounds, which, again, beginning with our Kinder to College conversation, allowed more students to begin the year with the tools that they need to be successful had they otherwise not have had. Those entities that were involved included civic groups, businesses, collection events, and faith-based organizations. So I want to thank each and every member of Team KSD for a fantastic school opening, and I look forward to a tremendous 2015-2016 school year. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Watts. Russ, anything you want to?
No, I mean, 3 kids in the district all have gone extremely well. Middle son, very anxious about starting. The most anxious part for a middle schooler is the locker, getting the combination right, because there are teachers in the hallway making sure that they're hustling, and it's like a new checker at a grocery store. They just can't scan the item because the anxiety is so high. So really nothing, except just a personal note for how it affects my boredness. So this is a busy season now. I was just looking at my calendar. 4 out of the 5 days in the week, I don't get home till 9 every night. So I leave the house at 7:30, get home at 9. Go to Canada on Saturdays, every single Saturday, from now until February. And so the good thing is I do have a 15-year-old that's driving, so I can study up on board issues in the car now, as he's driving. So really nothing related to the district except that this is now, and my wife is actually gone. I just looked, 9 overnight trips in the month of September. So solo parent for 2/3 of the time with these clowns. So just a personal note, just to kind of put it out there.
Okay. I had all my items written up, but I copied page 1, front and back, so so I have to recollect what I wrote down. The first thing I wanted to mention was the back-to-school rally, the staff rally. I just want to say, if you weren't there, please be sure to watch the video, because to me, it was so great to see people out of their suits and being comfortable, and just the spirit and the energy. I wanted to point out a few things that were noteworthy. Having the SIOs come out with their team at KSD, the chant by our Principal Cleveland, small I, little I, big G. It's stuck in my brain. I mean, you get to see people who are completely out of their regular day-to-day work. But it was just a great day, and even Dr. Watts made a point of quoting Yoda. I think that that got him some brownie points with teachers. So, there were a lot of great things that happened that day, but also wanted to say, since school opened, I've been hearing a lot of great things from teachers about how important that was for them. But more importantly, they feel like there was some acknowledgement of their work. And I just wanted to read one thing that our teacher wrote, and this was opening day, and he wrote, made it through the first week of cross-country, a week of workshops and working in my classroom, met some amazing new additions to our staff and some new students. We have a superintendent who quotes Star Wars, a new vice principal who plays Portal 2, and several coworkers who are both Trekkies and Sith Lords in disguise. Also found out that a team-taught AP art history class might also include a student teacher with an emphasis on museum science. This is going to be a great school year, ! It's just an example of excitement that's going on out there, and I was really happy to hear that people feel hopeful. And that was the message that Karen delivered that day as well. So I wanted to also mention that I'm part of the Chamber Education Committee, and we have a career day planned at Matson Middle in the fall. We had a really successful one at Meridian last year, so that'll be replicated at Matson with Jim Shield there. And then in the spring, there will be one also at Mill Creek. And then also I wanted to mention the Kent Food Bank. I serve on their board, and hopefully we'll have as much participation as last year. We had, I think, about 12 people. Maybe we can double it this year. Superintendent Watts will be speaking, as well as students from the TOP program. And it's not the top program, TOP, the top student. It's the outreach program, so top student.
From TOP.
From TOP. And let's see, the Boy Scouts and possibly some students from ICL, I'm not sure. But it'll be another great day on October 9th. Will be 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. And finally, I wanted to just mention, I neglected to mention this from last meeting, but I really enjoyed being at the leadership training. This is the first year I attended, and there were a lot of great presentations, and thank you to all who did that. That was also a great session to feel some hope moving forward. And as I said, there were great presentations, but I just wanted to call out Randy's presentation on the EWIS, and I was just taking a lot of notes on that. And you know, you talk about hope. I mean, that's really where it's at. You know, yeah, we can collect a lot of data, but it has to be meaningful. And when I look at how we are going to be tracking some of this information through Skyward, through PBIS, all of those alignment and integration in place, you know, that's really where our investment needs to be. And so I'm very hopeful that this homeroom program is going to be, I believe you mentioned there were going to be EWIS teams in all of those schools. So, you know, when we talk about return on investment, this is really what we need to see, that we have an indication of what are the interventions that our kids need, and is it being effective? How are we classifying it, and how are we following through? And the idea that we could track these students from district to district, I mean, my gosh, you know the possibilities. So I'm excited about that. I'm really glad that we approved that, and I just wanted to share that. And thank you so much, Randy. I think that was one of the best presentations, and if we can share that at some point with the board, that would be great. So.
Thanks, ma'am.
That's it.
Magda?
Yeah, well, I wanted to encourage my fellow board directors to fill out your ballots for WASDA elections for president-elect and vice president, and they're due on September 25th, and we received an email on August 31st that has like your special link you're supposed to use to go there, so I've got to do it, and I wanted to remind you too. And then I wanted just to tell you, actually share some numbers with you. Last night I went to the clothing bank that the Kent Area Council PTA operates at Kent Phoenix Academy, and to drop off some donations, and I was just like, again, blown away by the service and how needed it is. So I wanted to share this with all of you. So these are some numbers I'm going to tell you about. So the first one is 1,263, and then 425, 232, 60, 21, and 7. So what these numbers mean, and this is really unusual that I'm using numbers because I'm usually not a number person, but I was really blown away when I was there. So last year, the clothing bank served, of our students, 1,263 students got clothing through the clothing bank for the school year. And that was from 425 different families. And in the last about 5 to 6 years where they've been keeping good data, that the numbers that they've served has doubled. So it's a huge amount. So last night, 232, last night they served 232 students of getting clothing last night from 6 to 8 p.m. And that was from 60 families. And 21 was another number I said. And that's how many volunteers they need twice a month to be able to operate this, because they're usually open 2 Wednesdays from 6 to 8. And they rely on all the PTAs throughout our district to have volunteers and other people. And they said they can always use more volunteers. And one thing they really need that's a big issue is, so they're open from 6 to 8, and they say that at 5 p.m. they'll start, taking families and doing through the process of making sure they're eligible and giving them the number of when they can actually go into the space, because they have to limit it for safety reasons. And so the families hang out in front of KPA on the side there, and they start showing up at 4 p.m. and they're not supposed to show up till 5, and so it's really sort of can be unsafe too. So they could use help with security when people from 4 to 5, and other volunteers telling people not to be there till 5. And then the last number was 7. And so that was the number of languages that families spoke that were there last night. And there were only 3 families that spoke English. All the other languages were other languages other than English. And the highest language was 42% of those families speak Arabic. And in particular last night, they were really grateful to have I think her name is Saber from our refugee outreach program, who was there to help with translation. Another need that they asked for, the PTA asked they could use help with, is they'd love to make a video showing all the families there and getting the clothing and being served, and they thought that could be a promotional thing to help recruit more volunteers to help run it, because it's such a huge undertaking that they've been kind of taxed and are looking for more assistance running it. So just wanted to share that with all of you.
What nights is that?
They have a calendar for the whole school year, and they're Wednesday nights twice a month. So it's
Tuesday nights?
Oh, yes, thank you. Yeah. I'm so used to coming here on Wednesdays. I had Wednesdays on my mind.
So the
Tuesday
second and fourth?
nights.
Would be the 2nd and 4th usually?
Yeah. And so if you go to Kent Area Council PTA, and I'll send you guys a link. I also took a picture of all the families, well, not all. There were a lot of them were inside in the cafeteria, but when I was there, they were still processing some out in front of KPN, so I took a picture of all the crowds there. And then I'll send you a link to information about the volunteer opportunities. And your clothing, they always take clothing, and besides students' clothing, they'll take other things, because the volunteers process it all, and the top students process it all and get retail experience, like going through the clothes and hanging them up. And then the clothes that they can't use for the students, they actually donate, I think it's to Value Village, and they get money for that. So that's another way to, and then they use the money to buy the socks and underwear, because they give out brand new socks and underwear to every student, so that comes.
Yeah, that's an incredible service.
Yeah.
That's really incredible. Thanks, Magda. Just comment about Fill the Bus. It filled a need for me, being a retired school teacher. I don't get to buy the crayons and the things like that for my classroom, so I went out and bought a whole bunch of stuff for Fill the Bus, and that was a lot of fun. Staples appreciated me. And again, the pep rally, that it was just, I never use the word awesome, but it really was awe-inspiring. Just that, to look all the way from one end of French Field Stadium to the other end, filled with colored T-shirts from every different school, and the people who came up were so enthusiastic and had so much fun, and it just was, we really felt like Team KSD. And just a shout out to Tom Ogg for providing, and the food services for providing the treats and things for the little snacks, even though one of the cheerleaders took mine while I was having my video done. It wasn't a problem.
Russ was really hungry. He didn't get his.
I didn't.
I think it was last week I went to a book promotional for Mike Buckingham's brother has written a book about Mike Buckingham's life. And if you don't remember who he is, he was a state patrolman who was involved in he was chasing a DUI and was involved in an accident and was burned very severely, and just went on, that was in, I think, 1981, and he went on to a very long life of service to students and schools, of talking about being responsible and not drinking and driving at all. This and his brother was a doctor, and he was talking about the 0.08 that we have limitation in Washington is too high. It needs to be lowered, and he's tried to get something through the legislature for that. But he's raising money from the book sales, and his first goal is to provide a $1,000, I guess you call it a community service scholarship to a student at Kent Meridian. And hopefully, if there's more money coming from it, that he could provide that for the other high schools too, for a $1,000 scholarship for each one of the high schools. So I thought that's really great. And just a little aside, my kids at Hope. I'm going to keep talking about it. I got an email from a teacher at Martin Sortune who's interested in hearing about it. He said that they have 70 level ones that have come in, via the AYP thing, and so they're trying to think of some things that they can do differently with those kids. So they've got a new person who's in charge of, I don't remember what he said the title was, but he said, so she's just on board, but he's interested in hearing more about it. So I thought that was great. So, and that's all I've got.
Thank you.
So, anybody have anything else? We're good? All right, we're good. Oh, and it's 8:10.